Hello to my fellow KW stakeholders. Of course, it's Aaron Kaufman, Chief Stakeholder Evangelist out of Atlanta, Georgia, bringing you another episode of the My 401 KW interview series where we dive deep with some of our top profit share earners and thought leaders. And this morning is no different. We have the pleasure of talking with one of our top agents in the Charlotte market and top profit share earner, Natalie Terry. How you doing this morning?
I'm great. Good morning. How are you, Aaron? Nice to see you.
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with us.
Here.
Yeah. I know you've come highly recommended from our good friend Sandra Candler, and super excited to talk to you. And now we're in the same amazing ownership group, so looking forward to spotlighting you. So Natalie, take us back before we get into profit share and all that stuff. Take us back to when before you were in real estate, how you came into real estate, how you ended up at KW, what your journey's been for the last 20 plus years.
For sure. So I got licensed in the year 2000. I was working as a registered nurse. And I back in that time, I was working the night shift. So I understood very well how that job was killing me.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I worked in a busy ICU, and essentially my girlfriend says to me, she's like, we should go get a real estate license. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. Except I had no intention of selling real estate at that time. I wanted to learn how to buy properties and be an investor. So I tagged along with her. Anyway, essentially she went on to not sell real estate, and I did. So
you had kids at the time. What was your family situation at that time?
I was not married. Actually I take that back. I was married, but I was in process of divorce.
Understand.
So in transition there, and just trying to figure it out. I think I was 28, 29 years old at the time.
Wow.
So, I had a lot to look forward to. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and look, and that's the point we want to make here, right? I mean, you were dealing with personal issues. Personal issues. You had, working in the evening, and yet here we are, 20 years later, which once again reinforces this idea that many of the leaders of our industry 5 years from now are not in the business yet. Everybody listening today was once a new agent, and so I'm sure the person that was lucky enough to sponsor you to Keller Williams as a brand new, quote unquote, part-time, potentially new agent is grateful that they did. So you took your real estate course, right? You got your license. What happened next?
I went to work at a small mom and pop here locally, and I learned a lot. I was, the thing that I struggled with most was how to be a salesperson.
Sure.
Because that was not really in my DNA at that time. So that was very interesting. And then
and you were working at night, Natalie?
I did. I worked both jobs. So I had a schedule that was kind of crazy. I would work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Wow.
I would go home and sleep from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And at 2 p.m., I would get up, pack my lunch, put my scrubs on, go to the office, and I would make lead generation calls for 2 hours.
Amazing.
And then I would eat my dinner, so to speak, and I would go back to the hospital, and I would work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I did that for 9 months. And then one day, 9 months in, I just woke up one day and I went to the hospital. I typed out my letter of resignation. I just want to tell you, I was terrified. Terrified. I walked into the hospital. I had a total of 6 sales under my belt. I walked into the hospital and I quit my full-time nursing job and thought, okay, you know what? It's sink or swim. There's no room for failure here.
So what gave you, look, 6 deals in your first 9 months, I would say is way ahead of the curve for a brand new agent who's working maybe 2 hours a day. Were you doing weekends too as well when you were?
Oh yeah. It was.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it was just whatever happened. And back then we didn't have, I got my first email address when I got into real estate. We didn't really have cell phones or, so it was kind of in a way a little bit easier to manage my time, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I
that's a great point. That's a great
truly
point. A much
worked
simpler time.
whenever I wasn't at the hospital, I was working.
So where did these 6 deals come from, roughly? I
Um,
mean, yeah.
Yeah, they were tough the first 6, you know, because like all of them had financing issues.
Sure. Were these sphere of influence, or were
They
these?
were.
Yeah.
Well, some of those were, you know, my office at the time was, you know, in a busy little part of South
Sure.
Park.
Sure.
And so people would walk in, or, you know, I would call lenders.
Yeah.
I called anybody that would talk to me. And even though I didn't even know what to say, I was just like, hey, I have a real estate license. Want to buy a house?
Well, I mean, look, that's probably at least half of it, right? I mean, most of
Yeah.
our agents are playing secret agent. They
Yeah.
think because they're you know, they know everything that people are thinking that they're the agent that they want to work with, but just
Yeah.
doing it right is
For
goes a
sure.
long way. So
For sure.
6 deals in your first 9 months, you decide, and you did
Yeah.
not have a child at this point, right? As well,
No kids.
which is a huge advantage, obviously, which
Huge.
it gives you the
Yes.
flexibility. Hey, I just got to take care of myself, feed myself. But you
Yes.
felt comfortable enough 9 months in to give up
Yeah.
that job, knowing that,
Yeah.
God, imagine what I can do working 8 hours a day instead of 2, 3 hours
Right.
a day,
For
right?
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I called my dad and I said, hey, Dad, I just quit my $50,000 a year job to make nothing. How am I
Yeah.
doing? And
Yeah.
he's like, I believe in you. Just
I
go.
love that. I love that. No, I mean, having parents, certainly my
Yeah.
parents were a huge part of my ability to take that risk. I know a lot of people come into this industry without that emotional support, financial support, or whatever it might be. So, you know, we always have to acknowledge how fortunate we are to have that support system, because a lot of people don't.
Definitely.
And doesn't mean that they can't be successful. It's just a lot more challenging. So
Agreed.
you go in, you turn in your notice, right?
Yep.
What happens next?
So my first year in real estate, I made $8,000.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I was a little stressed out.
Sure.
You
Had
know,
you saved up
so
any money at all? Did you have any a
um,
little? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
just a little bit, you
Yeah. Yeah.
know, but it certainly wasn't enough to make the bills, and you
Sure.
know,
Sure.
so but that was okay, you know. I
Yeah.
just felt like I needed to figure it out.
It's
And
amazing.
so then, you know, so I just did my thing and I figured out. So my first real year in real estate, I closed about $2 million.
Wow.
Right. And
Awesome.
almost
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was 1.6.
Okay.
And, you know, and I decided that I was gonna, you know, and I kept talking to my peers, and my peers at other companies were selling a lot more real estate than I was.
Yeah.
And so that really inspired me to kind of check around and see, you know, what I might do. Um,
Yeah,
so
you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, so, you know, I
you don't.
walked into the closest real estate company to my
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
I personally did not interview any other real estate companies. They were
Yeah.
nice people and they
Yeah.
offered me a job. So
Yes.
I took
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. That's
And
how it works.
yeah, and Natalie, I always tell people, right, you know, that even though maybe that wasn't the best way to do it, it also gave me some perspective, right, on now I have
Yes.
something to compare this thing to, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
you at least were able to start at a more of a brand centric retail type location that gave you the
Yeah.
opportunity to cut your teeth. So there was value in that, but you reached a point where you realized, okay, now
Mhm.
I feel like I can do more because I'm invested more into this. So
Yes.
what happened? So you started talking to peers, people you had done deals with, yeah?
Yeah,
Or
I
met?
did. I did.
Yeah.
And I went and interviewed at a couple of big companies in
Mhm.
town. And I'll never forget this. I was so upset. You know, I went to this one interview, and the interviewer sat across this, you know, very nice wooden table across from me, and it boardroom style.
Yeah.
And she says to me, so what do you bring to our team? And I was like, I don't know. I sold 1.6 million
Right.
last year. And
Right.
she's like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, okay.
Interesting
Well,
perspective.
yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I left there feeling very deflated.
Yeah.
And, but a couple of weeks later, a friend of mine called and said, hey, so and so from such and such company wants to meet with us. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And, I went and checked them out. They had a lot of fees. And I was
Yeah.
like, whew, I don't know if I can afford that.
Sure.
So, anyway, and then another friend of mine said, there's a new company in town and you might want to check them out. And it was such a breath of fresh air, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
I called and I made an appointment at a local Keller Williams office. It was the first Keller Williams office in Charlotte.
Well,
And
let's just say this, what I hear as a lead generator,
yeah,
no one introduced you, right? You
no,
picked up the phone and called, right? Which
yeah,
once again,
yeah,
one of the biggest, I think, issues that a lot of our agents have. They don't understand that there are people in their real estate database right now that are not even in real estate that are thinking about being a real estate agent. And if you don't talk about it, they're going to go and pick up the phone and they're going to call another company or KW, and you might not get the sponsorship. So you picked the phone up, you called this office. How were you greeted? What was the impression that
it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I went in and I met with, she was the team leader. I didn't know those terms back then,
sure.
Right? She was the team leader and and truly, like, one of the first questions she asked me is, so Natalie, how can we help you grow your business?
Oh, what a novel idea.
And I was like, wow, where am I right now?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So it was just a very powerful, I consider it a life-changing conversation,
Absolutely.
just in that moment. And I left there and this was probably in October this was probably October 2002.
Okay.
So I left there and I said, you know what, that's where I want to be. But at the time, and I don't know if you remember, at the time when you had deals at another brokerage, right? You had to kind of straddle your upcoming closings so that you wouldn't leave all that money on the table.
Absolutely.
Right. So I left a lot of money on the table that year. Back then it was a lot of money, it was probably the equivalent of, 2 transactions.
Yep.
At a 50-50 split. So,
of course.
But it was a lot of money. And and then early that year, by then I had met my new husband and we decided to go to Keller Williams together.
That's amazing. So going back to that meeting, obviously what can we do to grow your real estate business? What else was it about? Because KW was a new.
Yeah. Oh, it's Keller who?
Yeah, exactly. And so how did you, as a newer agent who maybe didn't fully understand that brands don't matter as much as brand-centric companies want to make you believe they matter. What did you realize? What else was about KW, the models, the systems, the training? Did you get a sense there was something different just, outside of just that initial sort of question? What was it about KW that made you literally, let's get real, take a leap of faith, right? This is a new company and you're still relatively new. What was it about KW that really, made you make that leap of faith? Yeah.
Well, it was 2 things. The first is that I understood that they were going to grow.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, that was really important. Right.
And how did you understand that? Just simply.
Yeah. Well, because they talked about 2 things, they talked about 2 things. They talked about, we have a book, the MREA book, and you should take this home and read it. And I was like, okay, great. And then they talked about, profit sharing. And about how if you could, if you sponsor other agents to the company and, and at the time I didn't think too much of it, but I was, I was right at that point of transition to KW. I was also engaged to be married, and my husband to be was offered an opportunity to be a team leader for KW.
Wow. Okay. So I didn't know that.
together. Do you
Right.
see? So he understood how valuable profit share could be for us
Yeah.
because, he was interviewing for a team leader
So
job.
he was already in real estate when you guys
Yes,
met? Okay, so
yes,
he was at another company in Charlotte,
yes.
right?
Yep.
Was he independently talking with Keller Williams before you met, or that was that?
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
he
Okay.
suggested, matter of fact, we were dating at this point, right? We weren't even
Nice.
engaged at this point, and
Yeah.
I'm like feeling like I'm sneaking around and going and talking to other real estate companies, right? And
That's hilarious.
so I
But
went,
you also knew the advantages of a husband and wife team sharing a
yes,
cap, and the
yes,
husband probably, or your
all of
future
that.
husband probably understood
Yeah,
the unfair advantage husband and wife teams can have with profit
yeah.
share by being
And
able to
he was
stack.
not going to ever be selling.
Yeah,
All right. He
yeah,
was already a manager
I love that.
in, real estate offices and,
Yeah,
and so, and he had a commercial background. So he was never going to be like my selling partner.
right.
He was kind of more my cheerleader, but
And he had relationships,
he
right?
did.
A lot more relationships in real estate too, which I'm
Yes.
sure you'll talk about how that served you guys well. So he gave you that perspective, right? Obviously,
Yes.
he was already had a higher level sort of understanding of brokerage
Yeah.
models, right? You guys are making this leap of faith, but maybe not as much considering the knowledge that you two had
Right.
together. So you guys joined KW. Does he actually start as team leader, or did he?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Matter of fact, so we missed our first mega camp.
Okay.
Because so that was 2003. We
Yeah.
joined in February that year.
Interesting.
Got married that year, and then from there, we were at the KW office, the one that was in Charlotte,
Yep.
waiting to open our market center, which
Sure.
was going to be, in South Charlotte.
So were you it was Valentine at the time?
Valentine.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
So
obviously
we
we
started
know.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Valentine is one of our historically top most profitable market centers. So you got to I'm assuming Valentine wasn't huge yet. Was
Oh,
it a huge?
no.
No, right.
No, we opened with 20 some agents,
Wow.
right? Like
Wow.
it was,
Amazing.
and he was actively recruiting
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
to bring on agents.
What an exciting time too to come to
Mhm.
KW, right? I know that a lot of
Yeah,
people think that the best times are behind us. I would actually disagree because you guys had to convince people, right, that this was even
yes,
a legitimate model. And we know, coming from Caldwell Banker and other
yep,
companies, we know that our
mhm,
competition did a really good job telling our story back then. So
yeah.
what was it like to be one of the first and trying to grow this company? I mean, obviously you
Mhm.
believed in it, but was it challenging to and were you just focusing on real estate initially and your husband
Yep,
was working on building the profit share? Yeah.
he was.
Yeah.
He was an instructor at a
Yeah.
school at the
Great.
same time as he was team leader.
Yep.
So he would teach on the weekends. And so, the students really admired him and they wanted to learn more about, KW. So,
Sure.
so he recruited a lot of new agents at the
Yeah.
at the very beginning,
Yeah.
and he, and so I look at it this way and say, I was very fortunate to recruit a team leader right out of the
Right.
gate.
Right. Exactly. No doubt.
I
No
mean,
doubt.
without even realizing, that was going to be the launching pad
Of
for
course.
all of it.
Of course, and
So
I got to tell you, a lot of people that know my story know that, I did internet recruiting and sponsored a lot of new agents off the internet. And yes,
yeah,
obviously have lost a lot of them over the years. Okay. But the
sure.
ones that have survived, are
Mhm.
team leaders, right? Are OPs,
Yeah.
are mega agents. They run communities at KW. And so,
Mhm.
sometimes people think, oh, well, Natalie just married somebody that was a team leader, and think about how easy that was. One,
Mhm.
you guys took a leap of faith, right? You had to build
Yeah.
KW at a point when nobody knew who we are, and a lot of our competition was probably actively recruiting against us or rooting against us.
Yeah.
But I think people need to remember that, if you don't feel, if you don't know a team leader or a potential team leader, go find some
Okay.
new agents who might someday turn into, a
Yeah,
Natalie Terry or somebody like that, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So
you guys start building and incubating Olive Valentine, right?
we did.
So go from there. Talk about
Yeah.
what started to happen with your profit share, with your business,
Yeah.
and sort of your mindset around KW and what
Mhm.
you saw as an opportunity were around profit share.
For sure. So, we so he spent a year being the team leader
Okay.
there. And during that time, we recruited a lot of people, and our strategy back then is that we would put everyone under him.
Yeah.
So I was at the top, and then him,
Sure.
and then everybody went under. So the
Smart
thing,
decision.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and that kind of made sense for us because we kind of got to double dip, so to speak,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he was team leader for a year, and then at the end of that year, he ended up going back into full-time teaching. Like
Yeah.
that's what his passion was.
Sure.
He enjoyed teaching new agents at the
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
So he continued to recruit, and he would say, "Hey, you need to meet Natalie," and so they would come to the office, and it was almost like I had an instant relationship with them, right?
Absolutely.
Because of that. And and this went on for years and years, probably even into even all the way up into, I'm going to say, 2012, 13,
Okay.
14. Like we were always intentional, even even later when we went through our own stuff and
Sure.
ultimately ended up divorcing.
Sure.
The one thing that we agreed on is that we were going to have a positive face in the community
Yeah.
because people knew us, as a team.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we did, so he's continued to recruit and I continued to love on agents.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I felt like he was still recruiting. So I didn't feel like I ever had to work that hard at it.
Right.
Not
Right.
then.
So what was your kind of aha moment? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
Ballantyne has grown into being one of our top market centers.
Yeah.
It probably took you guys some time to get South Park. I know they're doing great. But
Yeah.
was there a moment when you kind of realized, like, holy smokes, like this part of the model is,
Yeah.
I never knew that it could
Yeah.
be what it was? What was there a moment that you had where you just
Yeah.
realized like what it was, what was happening?
Yeah, because because our profit share account just kept growing.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that we did early on, and if you don't mind, I'll just share this as a tip
Please.
for everybody
Please.
because I think that this was so life-changing for us. But we agreed early on that we would not spend any profit share money.
That's great.
Okay, because we understood that, that when profit share came about, it was so that we could create a retirement for
Yes.
agents, right?
Yes.
So for us, it was the gift. It was the gift of being able to someday retire from, selling real estate or from
Absolutely.
teaching.
Absolutely.
So we set up a separate account, and our very first profit share dollar went into that account, and we never spent it.
What was your first check? Do you remember the first check you guys got?
I want to say it was like
Right.
$4.31
Love
or
it. I love
something.
it. But it's always the most exciting one, right? I mean, even no matter what it is, it's like
Yeah,
a real
yeah,
moment where you
yeah,
realize what mailbox money is. It might have been
for sure,
$4.31,
for
but
sure.
you didn't have to do anything for that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so everywhere we went, we talked about KW. We
Yeah.
went to dinner and we talked about KW.
I
We
love
were
it.
just all about it.
I love it.
And
Now,
it wasn't,
meanwhile, your real estate business, right,
of
was
course.
growing, right, and that was
Yes,
making you more valid as a
yes.
attractor to KW. So, talk about how that, how you growing your real estate business, following the models at KW, becoming the agent that you are today, how that has also shaped the conversations you have and how they're
Sure.
different than they were back in the day for you.
Sure. I always, I think the down of the market, that 2008, 9,
I
10,
remember.
was
Yes.
particularly challenging, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um, and during that time, there was still agents coming to KW, and I had gone to family reunion one year, and
Mhm.
I don't remember, I don't remember who it was, but somebody had introduced a tall stand-up desk at
Okay.
family reunion, and about how you should make your calls standing up in your office. And so I would invite agents from my office to come and listen into my lead generation
Oh,
calls.
that's so cool.
And
Yeah.
they were not good calls, okay?
Right. Right. But that's amazing though. The one that sharpens your skills, but
Yeah,
also, a lot of top agents don't want to put themselves in positions where they feel vulnerable
yeah,
or right. And so that was amazing that you were willing to
yeah.
bring people into that and see your struggles, which I'm sure is what made you, or made them
Mhm.
more inspired, was realizing that she's not perfect either, right? Like
And it
she's
was definitely not
right.
perfect.
Yeah,
It was the down of the market, and
yeah,
it was an exercise in how to get hung up on.
exactly. Yeah, I get it.
It
Right.
was, it was all of that. But I was very grateful to have come through,
Yeah,
sort of, it's hard to say that I thrived during those years.
sure,
Okay. If I'm being
sure.
honest, but I was very happy to say that I never went out and got another job. My
Yeah,
focus was 100% real estate,
yeah,
and that same determination as a brand new agent still
yeah.
existed 9 years later, with the understanding that I just got to go to work,
Yeah, and half the battle is survival, right? I mean, when it comes to shifts, right?
and we had the models,
Right. We
right?
even the moment right now, right? A lot of agents are,
Yes.
you know,
Oh,
uh, getting out of the
hmm.
business or not, not having a ton of success, but knowing that,
Yep.
hey, if I just keep plowing
Yeah.
forward, keep showing up, keep committing to mastery,
Yeah.
I will be a
Yep.
better version of myself when I come out the other end, whatever that might look like. So, did you
Good.
know, Natalie, back then? Did you understand as a top agent, as a wife of a team leader, a former team leader? Did you understand the connection between profit share and culture and why it was important to open your
Huge.
door to new agents? Did you understand that at a high level, you
Huge.
think? Yeah.
I did. I understood that very early on, because I remembered my first year in real estate, of how
Yeah.
challenging it was to even get anybody to talk to you, right?
Sure.
And then, and I felt like it was really, really important to help those agents,
Yeah.
find their path, no matter what that was. And it wasn't so much about, oh, I'm going to get profit share. It was really about, saying, hey, you know what? I did it and you can too.
Yeah. Paying it forward, right? And
Yes,
but
for sure.
also understanding that, hey, the more successful this agent is, right? The
Yep.
more likely they're going to stay at KW. And
Yeah.
look, I'm sure you're the kind of agent that whether they're in your profit share tree or not is not the reason why you help them. You understand you're actually vested in everybody's success in your
Yeah.
office, not just the people in your profit share tree. But if our top agents are not acting that way, right, then
Mhm.
it's hard to deliver on that culture at a high level. And I know that South Park, I love South Park. I've taught up there
Mhm.
many times. I know many top agents there that are very committed to what it means to be a stakeholder and
Yeah.
lifting their newer agents and their half cappers into cappers. That's how we build raving fans. That's how we
You.
build market centers people never
Mhm.
want or need to leave. And that's how we
Right
create
on.
big profit share lives, right? It takes a
It
village.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
So
We used to, the first year that we had profit share, we did a profit share party.
mm, I love that. I love that.
And so we rented out this like little spot in town, and had it catered, and had some music, and
Love it.
and basically the only thing we did is we invited all the agents that we had somehow sponsored, no matter where they were in the
Amazing.
downline.
Yeah.
to come and celebrate. And we did it as, hey, we want to say thank you,
It's great. I love that.
So we did those parties for a couple of years.
Sure.
Sure. I want to say 3 or 4 years. And then but then we started getting agents in other parts of the country too.
Yeah.
Right. And so they couldn't, they weren't going to be able to come, and then the market was shifting, and
of course,
it was like, ooh.
Well, look, and Natalie, most people, and look, I've always been very adamant about, sponsorship is not mentorship at KW, although obviously loving on your recruits is smart business. Okay. It's smart business, but you were already doing way above and beyond. And I think, you hit on a great point there, which is you can never predict who somebody might become and who they might attract to KW. I'm assuming your profit share tree grew into other states, other markets, not through you, but through the people that you brought on. Is that correct? So so outside of Charlotte, have you ever paid attention to, I know you've got about 300 agents in your downline, you're getting close to that. Where is your profit share tree, or your, as we call it, your virtual Keller Williams Market Center?
It's crazy because I think I have some, I back in the day, and I haven't looked recently, but at one point we had some in California. Yeah. Right. And we're a complete opposite coast. And I'm like, where did these people come from? That's so cool, And so,
I love that.
So we would start watching the trends of, the market center, how the market center was doing in California. Right. Because we wanted to. Like, how well are they doing? And
I got a lot of agents in California, and I love you, California associates. We're coming back strong, but you got some work to do. You got some work to do, right? I have a lot of agents in my downline in California, and I'm really excited about some of the changes that I'm seeing out there, and then the hopeful improvement in profit share that will be coming soon. But yes. But it also gives you this idea too, Natalie, that, one, how lucky we are, obviously, to be, and Charlotte is the Carolina region, which is right up there with the Southeast region. But, not every region, not every market center is created equal. It takes a village, right? And we're so lucky to be in these amazing markets that are very profitable, because it's really hard to get people excited about profit share when you're not profitable. Right.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
So,
and I think that's the thing that never occurred to me. It never occurred to me.
Me neither.
That I would be at a market center that wasn't profitable. Right.
Yeah.
So, until maybe recently. Right. Sure. But I'm saying, agreed.
Well, we're a large franchise company. And look, I always tell people I was an idealist. Okay. And I'm not here to, to point out market centers that are not profitable. I'm just saying that it's all about the who. People love to say the model. Oh, the model needs to change. No, actually, we have offices here in Atlanta that'll give back $1 million in profit share this year. So we are number one market center, Natalie, and all of Keller Williams is freaking Cleveland. Okay. Is Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay. And exactly. They don't have the the FMLS money that we have here in Atlanta. So I don't think it's the model, right? It's the who. And but once again, you could have the best ownership group in the world, but if you don't have the right leadership team, or if the agents are not buying into it, or vice versa, it doesn't work. It takes a village, right? It takes agents like you, and takes great ownership and servant leaders to make this work. Yeah, of course.
It's really a team effort,
Nobody, which is our superpower, right?
Exactly. Nobody does it alone.
Right. Well, in our industry, it's kind of been an independent industry, and what makes KW unique is we are interdependent, right? We should be working together more. We should care about each other more, because we are in business together. We're stakeholders. We're partners, right? So I want to go back here. So talk about your real estate business today. I know you have a group, right? You're the Natalie Terry group in Charlotte. Talk about what your business has become as a byproduct, and obviously of your efforts, but of being at KW, and what, where you are today and what you've been able to grow there.
Well, and I'll share just a little tidbit of something that happened in between that might shed some light. So about 2014, I decided that I wanted to go out on my own.
Mm.
So I actually left KW.
I heard so you
And,
say, I heard someone said, welcome
yeah,
back to KW.
yeah.
All that.
So,
Okay, so talk about that. So were
yeah.
you an individual agent at the time, or did you have a little team at the point?
No, I had hired an assistant,
Okay.
and so that was in 2012.
Yeah.
And, by 14, I was truly in burnout mode,
Yeah. Yeah.
and because I felt like I'd survived the down of the market, but, my pizzazz for real estate was
Sure.
kind of gone. So,
Sure. I get that. I get
yeah.
it.
So I decided that, that I really could do this on my own. So I left and formed Terry Realty Group.
So
Well,
you were an independent.
I went
Yeah.
independent. And,
Wow.
while I was independent, this is what's
Yeah.
crazy. While I was independent, people would call me and they would say, Natalie, can I come hang my license at your firm? I'm like, absolutely not. And I would say to them, listen, if you want to get into real estate and you want to be at a really great company, go to KW.
I love
Okay.
that. Right.
I will help you. You can call me. I
Yeah.
will, in a way mentor you if you like, but go to KW. That's where you need to be.
I love that.
So I still recruited people to KW when I was an independent agent.
Yep.
So, and I did that for about 9 years,
Wow.
and it was
You were independent for 9 years?
It was too long.
I mean, so you literally just came back within the last year?
2023.
23. I did not know that. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were on your own, right? And look,
Yeah.
and part of that was I wanted to re-energize my energy around my business. I'll go out on my own. I'll focus on me and all that stuff. So what happened? Obviously, 9 years. It probably went pretty well for a while, right?
It was good. It was very good. I mean, the markets were strong, 15 through 22, and I started, and interestingly enough, even during that time, I was always keeping my eyes and ears open. So I would periodically go and interview at a company, right, in town. And the thing that kept coming back to me is that I couldn't embrace a different model.
Yeah.
Like I was so ingrained and loved KW so much that I couldn't embrace a different model. So because of that, I felt end of 22 is when I started feeling that pull of, Natalie, you might really need to consider going back to KW, and
what was the pain? What was the pain for you at that point?
Yeah.
Because,
At
we
that
know
point,
that independents are probably the biggest growth sector of KW right now. And I don't know if it was, I don't know if technology or any of the things that we, the consumer experience, any of that stuff. Talk about where the pain was for you at that point.
Yeah. I felt like I was getting left in the dust.
Yeah.
Like, and that maybe is not the nicest way to say it, but I went back to 2002 in my head. And I remembered talking to my peers that were outselling me and that were, it was just, and I just got up one day and I said, okay, you know what? I need to pay attention. And if I'm going to continue to thrive in this business, then I need to re-engage. I need to reconnect in an environment that, that I can grow and that I can contribute in. And, it's hard being an island, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and when you own your own brokerage, you wear all of the hats.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're the smartest person.
Yeah. And that's not fun either.
No, right? I know. Right. I mean, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, right? You want to be surrounded by people that are
successful, that are doing it, so, and so I realized at that point that I had stayed away too long, and when I went to KW, I was truly one of those agents that thought, I'm at a company that I never want to leave. Yeah. So coming back to KW was, it was very exciting. I mean, I definitely feel that energy again. And, I'm so thankful to be back among my peers and, and I do feel a little bit behind. I feel like I missed a lot in 9 years.
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So every day is learning again, and so could my business be stronger? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's I'm learning. It's
Yeah,
great.
but I mean, look, the same reason you left is the same reason you came back, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you you needed a change, right? You
yeah.
needed to see what it was like on the other side. You did it
Mhm,
for a long time, and then you
mhm.
realize, okay, I've done this. Now I'm ready to kind of go back. I'm re-energized around KW, and
Yeah.
you went back into South Park. Is that correct?
No, I actually went to Fort Mill.
Oh, Fort Mill. Okay,
Yeah, I went
fantastic.
to Fort Mill. I
Yeah,
decided that, and it was, and going back to that statement about it's the who,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I felt an instant connection at Fort Mill and just realized that, that's the folks that I wanted to be in business with again. And
Yeah.
it was just overwhelming. I mean, I told the team leader, after I met with her the first time, I was like, I really like you, but I'm not coming.
Now, did she, by the way, did you initiate the meeting the first
I
time? Yeah,
did.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did. I did. And I
And so,
and I didn't interview any other companies this
yeah.
time. I only interviewed KW offices,
So
right?
what was it about that office
Yeah.
particularly, besides I don't know if you had
Yeah.
met with Andy or Leslie or any of the other people besides the team leader, but was there
No,
something that you that spoke to you about that
I
office?
think it was the same conversation
Yeah,
again. It
yeah,
was the same, she really led with, okay, what are your goals and how can we help you grow your business?
I love that.
Um, how can we help you grow your business? And I went, that again.
Right, right, right. No, I love that though. I love it.
In a
But
great
sometimes
way.
you've got to be, I mean, like,
Yeah.
we say that, I mean, you have to be ready to receive that, right?
Yeah,
And
it's like
people
full
ready to
circle,
receive it. Yeah,
20 years later,
yeah.
right? I'm back at a KW office and the team
Mhm.
leader says to me, "How can we help you grow your business?" And I
Yeah.
just thought, "Okay, here we go."
But once again, that also highlights, Natalie, the importance of staying in relationships as a company with agents
Yeah.
that leave. Sometimes agents
Mhm.
leave for, for many different reasons. Sometimes it's not even
True.
about Keller Williams, right? So we have to
Right.
always stay in relationships with them because we never know when their why
Mhm.
will change again or their
True.
circumstances change, whatever it might be. So you've been back for over a year, I would imagine
Yeah.
now, right? Or about a year.
Mhm.
So what has life been like back? Are you back? Are you feel? I know you said you feel like you're still a little bit behind, but
Yeah.
you're
I'm
obviously
learning.
re-energized. You're re-energized.
Oh,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm enjoying the most is just, seeing the energy of new agents coming
Yeah.
into the business again,
Yeah.
because I didn't get that
Sure.
when I was away. So, and I love that because,
Yeah.
anytime you have that excitement, it,
Yeah.
it just helps so much. So I love that. I think that I have an amazing leadership team at
Sure.
my office, and I'm truly delighted to be in business with them. Like I pinch myself sometimes. I know it sounds hokey, but
No, I
it
love it.
is.
Well, you're a nurse, and you're a nurse, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah,
you're a nurturer. You
right.
want to nurture, although when you're an
Yeah,
independent,
you can't
you
do
don't
that.
have a lot of energy left over to nurture people, right? That's why you're always
Right.
sending them to KW.
Yeah,
So now
exactly.
you have the best of both worlds, where you can build your business, but
Yeah,
also love on people because you have the leverage, right, of KW and
exactly.
staff and all that great stuff. So
Yeah,
have you found yourself, since you've been back, wanting to get more intentional about profit share and attracting
yeah,
like-minded agents? I know you love new
absolutely,
agents. I love new agents too, but are
absolutely.
you having some intentional
Yeah,
conversations?
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
I have a couple of things that I love to do. Um, I did. I felt like it was important to form a relationship with your leadership team
Mhm.
and say, "Hey, I want to grow my profit share."
Yeah.
So the first thing they did is they said, "Hey, Natalie, you want to be part of the growth committee on the ALC?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, here we go."
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
So, you know, I think so. The first thing is I have a great relationship with the leadership team. They understand that this is a big focus for me. And so whenever there's opportunities to talk to agents whether new or experienced, whatever, and those opportunities come up, I'm always very grateful that they put me on the path, or they give me the opportunity, which
That's
is great.
Well, it requires trust too, right? I mean, that's a big trust
Sure.
relationship. You got to trust that they are going to support you, right, and protect
Yeah.
you. So you are initiating conversations or trying to get referrals to come into the office and meet with leadership? So
absolutely.
And look, the great thing is now you have this amazing story, right? I mean, you left, you came back, you started as a brand new agent, you were working night. I mean, like, this story you have, Natalie, is why you're such a great attractor to KW, because it can be relatable to the whole spectrum, right? Because now you're a top agent, you were an independent, you were a new agent, right? So talk about how you get into these conversations. And we both agree that first and foremost, you must be an agent people respect, right? In the way you do business, right? That's where it all starts. But how do you find opportunities to have those conversations without, as Mo Anderson would say, feeling icky?
Yeah.
How do you get it to that? How do you get the conversations to a point where you feel comfortable talking about KW and what it's like to be here?
So I'll say it like this. I think the first part is you have to be comfortable within yourself, right? And you have to come from contribution.
Sure.
So I always lean into those conversations where somebody asked me, hey, how can I help you grow your business? So I don't ask that question, but every single agent that I do a transaction with, if they're not at KW, I send them a message and I say, hey, I just want to tell you, if they're in culture, that's number one, right?
Of course.
So I send them a message and say, hey, I really enjoyed working with you. I really admire how you handled maybe a tough situation in the transaction. And then I say to them that, my team leader has a thank you gift for them, and that I would be grateful if they would take the meeting. And it's like, and I don't even talk about them coming to KW. I don't say any of that. I let my leadership handle that because they're good at converting. I'm not. So I think that's the first thing. If it's an agent that I feel like is maybe a little more standoffish, or maybe they kind of feel that, that maybe an ick or whatever, I'll just say, that agent, if I get a sense that they're not at all even thinking about it or would, I just might say to them, hey, let's you and I go grab coffee, or let's have a drink and celebrate our closing, right? I might take them a shift book, or I might, and during those meetings, I will ask one important question. And that question is what do you like best about your brokerage? And inevitably, when you ask that question, they will tell you all the things they do not like.
Right. And then they'll ask you what you like, right, about your brokerage, right? Which tends to be the exact opposite, right? There's no culture of sharing. There's not a lot of training, right? There's no energy in the office, right? Right.
All
That's
of that.
smart. That's very smart.
So I have those conversations, and then there's always the organic conversations that happen. There was one night we were at dinner, and one of the waitresses went by, and I heard her say, she was talking to the table next to us about how, she was thinking about getting her real estate license and this, that, and the other. And she happened to be our waitress too. And I was like, hey, we should talk.
Are you guys doing K-Score in Fort Mill?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's
absolutely.
That's an amazing opportunity, obviously, as well.
It is. So, and I went to Arizona back in January, and my phone was dying. And so I walk into the Verizon store out there, and this 20-something-year-old guy, he's very pleasant to me. And he said, oh, you're in real estate. I said, I am. And he said, I want to be in real estate. I just took my class. And I'm like, well, listen, we should talk about, how I can support you, through getting your testing and all of that.
That's great.
So I kept in touch with him for a while, to help him grow. And I think eventually he's going to be a KW agent out there. So,
Well, it's, we say real estate's a contact sport. Profit share
it
is a
is.
contact sport. I mean, I talk to every Uber driver. I mean, my goal is not to
Yes.
get them to be a real estate agent, but it's amazing
Right.
what happens when you engage with people and you
Yes.
come from contribution. And, the
Yes.
thing about you and me, Natalie, is that we plug into KW, right? We believe in
Yeah,
KW. So
for
it's
sure.
very authentic for us to want to share it with people. I think the
Mhm.
challenge some people have in this company is when they're not plugged into KW, when they
Right.
haven't read the MREA book, when they're not a culturally driven associate, when they don't leverage our tech or care about,
Yeah,
the profitability of their office, it comes across like profit share breath because
for
they're just
sure.
trying to make money. And
For
so
sure.
I think it's the same thing with real estate. When you're a
Mhm.
great agent and people would be lucky to work with you, it compels you to want to
Right.
tell them you're an agent.
Right.
But the flip side is when you don't feel like a great agent, you tend to not want to tell people you're an
Mhm.
agent because you're not necessarily valid in your own mind.
For
So
sure.
Natalie, talk about, okay, so look, you've got almost 300 agents in your profit share tree now. I'm
Mhm.
sure that it's been having some ups and downs over the last 3 or
Yeah.
4 or 5 years since the pandemic. I mean, just like mine. You've
Uh-huh.
made, I think you've made almost
Almost
400,000.
400. I think I was at 399 or something.
And that's
Like,
just you, right? That's not you
yeah.
and your ex-husband, right? That's
No.
just you.
No, because he's passed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so his
Oh, okay.
profit share, has
Gotcha.
willed to his son.
No,
So
that's the one. By the way, talk
yeah,
about how amazing that is, right? I mean,
yeah,
so I didn't know that
absolutely.
he had passed, but he is
For
willing
sure.
his profit share, which
Yep.
I'm guessing is it higher than yours or is it about the same?
Yes. Now it's higher than mine
Because you're all in
because
this first level and you had more first
correct.
level. Yep. Yep.
Correct. So, that's the thing that's been great is that, most of my profit share tree is very, very deep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in coming back to KW, one of the things that I'm really trying to do is make it wider,
I
right?
love that.
Because my
Sure.
profit share tree only has probably 3 or 4 people
Wow.
in that first line.
I love that. I
Okay.
love that. But
So
you're smart about that because you understand one, not only do you make a higher percentage off your first level, they have
right,
6 more levels that they can grow underneath them too, right?
for
So
sure.
a lot of our top profit share earners, Natalie, they make all their money off their lower levels, right? But the
Yeah.
fact is their lower levels are bouncing up against or down against the 7th level and they can't grow any further, right?
Right.
So understanding that you want to rebuild it from the top and that it'll grow
Yep.
deep again, I think, is
Mhm.
very smart. And it's why who knows what it'll look like, right, in 10, 20 years. So
For
I
sure.
love the fact that your ex-husband's profit
Mhm.
share is being willed to his kid. And do
Yes.
you have a relationship with him or do you talk about how that's impacting his life at all?
No, but I know that it is,
Yeah, yeah. Of course, of course.
and I know that, it's allowing him to, work less,
Yes.
at this age of his life
Of
too, and,
course, of course.
so I think that, I've always seen it as a gift, and
Sure.
that is truly where my heart is about it.
Yeah,
And that is how I go into every conversation,
I love
right?
that.
Like this is the side effect. This is the gift of being at KW. And you can either embrace that gift and share it with, everyone that you come in contact with as
Yeah,
an opportunity for them, or you can hide about it,
sure.
right? And I think that I think it's really important to talk about it and talk
I
about
agree.
it in a way that helps other people, because I understood very early on that at some point I wanted to retire.
Yeah, yeah. And do you notice, because obviously I travel around KW and I'm teaching my
Yeah.
classes and all around KW. Are you concerned, not concerned, or what are your thoughts being
Hmm.
a high level profit share earner
Hmm.
about the state of profit share today and
Hmm.
maybe not going to say the lack of enthusiasm, but the lack of intentionality around
Yeah,
talking about it. Are you concerned? What do you believe we need to do as a company, as a market center
sure.
to continue? Because look, we want to grow the company, but I'm more concerned about the people we're already in business with, right? I mean,
Right,
there's a lot of people we're in business with, Natalie, that don't even understand what profit share is, how it's the
right,
catalyst for our culture, why it
right.
makes us inherently different. Are you, what are your thoughts around that? What can we do today to not just grow, but to also grow within, right? To grow
Yeah.
our own agents, our own, creating more stakeholders within instead
Mhm.
of just focusing on recruiting, recruiting, recruiting.
So I think the thing that I have gotten away from is maybe the word recruiting in itself.
Mm,
Okay. In other words, because I just don't view it as recruiting.
right.
Okay.
Attraction. Yeah.
Attraction,
Yeah.
right? So
Helping people. Yeah.
for sure. And I think the other piece of that is, how can we do it better? And that is it's important that we keep the agents that we bring
Yeah.
to KW
Yeah.
as a first line of defense, right?
Absolutely.
And um, and then it's important that that agents are consistent, just like we're taught to be consistent in our lead generation,
Yeah.
right? It's important that we're consistent in our conversations
Sure.
because, like you said at the very beginning, you never know when that opportunity is going to come. You
Right.
never know when that person that you're talking to is going to end up being the next mega agent
Yep.
that attracts how many other agents
Right.
to,
Or as a husband that's going to be a team leader, right? I mean, like
right,
sometimes it's not even them. We have stories of
right,
MCAs that aren't even in
yes,
production that
right,
bring people on that are high
for sure.
producers, right? Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. So you just don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think the consistency is the piece that I think matters. It's that every transaction that you have, right? Get in relationship with that agent because here and the way I look at it is this. Okay, what's the big deal? You had a cup of coffee with that agent, you feel like they're in culture, you
Yeah.
invite them and they, you know, maybe they don't participate, or maybe 3 months from now, you're in transaction with them again,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
they remember that you cared about them enough to invite them
Well,
to
invite them to
an event,
training, right? I mean, it doesn't
to an
always have to
event,
be
to
invite them
training.
to a recruiting appointment. It can
Absolutely.
be there's many steps along the way, MREA books, shift
Absolutely.
books, coffees,
All
other
of it,
training events, mega
for
camp, family
sure.
reunion, right? All that stuff.
For sure. So
Um,
I do
it's
think
an
it's the
investment. It's an
consistency.
investment. Yeah.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And so I think it's just important to be consistent in that,
Yeah.
and the rest works itself out.
Yeah. Are you
You know.
teaching in the office? I mean, I know you're a natural teacher, but have you been asked to talk about profit share and within your office and to
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yes. And I let me say that I don't feel like I'm doing that part of it very well.
right.
Okay. If I'm being honest,
Well, you did this interview really well, and
well,
all you
thank
gotta
you.
do is just do the same thing. I
That's
mean, like this.
because that's because you're so good.
Oh, please. No, I just think that your story and who you are and your authenticity around this is really the
Thank
only
you.
story that needs to be told. It doesn't, your
Yeah.
job is not to, teach them how to recruit. It's just to share how
Right.
you've done it, right? Just like you
Right.
did when you opened your door to those agents that listened to you cold call back in 2008 and 9,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it takes a village, Natalie, and you're one of the top profit share earners in that office. And so you have an amazing opportunity to inspire those that you're in business with, and if they grow it, guess who makes more money in
Right
profit share?
on.
Right, we all do.
Right
Right.
on. Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so look, we went way over what I thought we would do because you're
No, I'm
such
so
a great.
sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry, please. Amazing. So let's just give you a parting shot, right? You got, we don't have a bunch of people on live right now, but when somebody watches this and say one of your agents comes to you, Natalie, and they say, look, I just, I want to get intentional about profit share. What's one thing that I can do today to start getting purposeful about it?
Um,
And you said many things already, so you can say
sure.
something you already said. Yeah.
I'm going to say this. Develop a relationship with your leadership team.
I love that.
Okay. Let them know that this is an important priority for you, so that when opportunities come up, they will think of you and they will plug you into those.
I love that. That's beautiful. And I just took over an interim team leader position here in Atlanta.
Ah,
And so
congrats.
I understand that as much as I, want to build my profit share, my job will be so much easier if
Yes.
my agents are bringing me the leads so that I can grow it through them.
Yes.
Because that's how an office becomes healthy and very profitable, is when the agents are the ones participating in it. And I'm here to serve them and to close their referrals, not to grow this office around them. Right. So, hey, thank you so much for taking an hour of your time to talk with us. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. And
Same here.
Appreciate all your insights and inspiration that you shared with us today.
Thank you, Aaron. It's been a pleasure. I promise. I'll see you soon.
Take care, dear. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.